Capabilities and Products, Sumit Bali, Retail Lending and Payments, and Puneet Sharma, our CFO. Axis Bank has today executed definitive agreements for the proposed acquisition of Citibank's consumer business in India, comprising credit cards, unsecured and secured lending portfolios, wealth management, private banking, and retail deposit businesses. The proposed acquisition is obviously subject to approvals. As part of this transaction, around 3,500 employees of the city's consumer businesses are expected to join the Axis family. We look forward to warmly welcoming each one of them, and we anticipate a great future for the combined team. The purchase consideration, subject to customary and contractual adjustments at closing date, for the proposed acquisition is up to 12,325 crores, translating to a price to earnings multiple of 18.7 times based on normalized calendar year 20 standalone earnings of this business. We expect the necessary approvals to close the transaction to be in place in the next 9 to 12 months and another 18 months to fully integrate the acquired businesses. A transition services agreement with Citi and its affiliates is in place to assist with the integration of its businesses to the Axis Bank platform. We estimate that the post-tax integration costs over the 2 financial years post-closing would be rupees 1,500 crores. A big portion of this money relates to Citibank supporting us in the transition. We are delighted that Citi found in us the perfect institution to carry forward their rich legacy. Citi's consumer businesses in India needs no introduction. The portfolios acquired are a great fit to the 2 key pillars of our GPS strategy, building a premium base of customers and increasing granularity. We have made significant strides over the past 2 years in building this organically. The addition of Citi's consumer businesses is a tremendous boost to us in that journey. We are committed to making sure that the transition experience for the customers and employees of Citi is smooth. They will find in us an open, customer-centric, and future-ready bank that will offer them a world of new opportunities. We have shared a presentation that sets out details, but let me briefly touch upon the businesses we are acquiring and our integration preparedness. We will then open it up to question and answers. This acquisition would provide us access to perhaps the best affluent consumer franchise in India. The customers will have access to One Axis, a full-service financial institution that meets every need of theirs. On credit cards, Citibank has a complementary and quality portfolio of close to 2.5 million cards, with amongst the highest monthly spends per card across the industry and a book size of approximately rupees 8,900 crores as of June 21. This would strengthen our position as a top 3 credit card player in India by book size, with a healthy increase of around 31% to our existing credit card base and significant gain in cards spends market share. Our spends market share will go by about 480 basis points. The acquisition is a natural fit for our strong wealth management Burgundy franchise. We have organically built one of the best tech-driven wealth platforms with AUMs of over 2.67 trillion in the last 2 years. Citibank's affluent clientele, backed by global best practices in client servicing and operations, would complement this franchise. The combined AUM of our wealth franchise will increase by 42%, thereby making us the 3rd largest wealth manager in the country. On deposits, with 81% CASA ratio and 73% being savings accounts, this is truly a granular consumer business. This also comprises a best-in-class salary account customer base with access to 1,600 plus Suvidha corporates. This will accelerate Axis Bank's journey to build a high-quality salaried savings account franchise also. The combined CASA ratio on a pro forma basis would improve by 200 basis points to 47%, and it will also be LCR accretive. The consumer lending portfolio of approximately 18,500 crores consists of mortgages, asset-backed finance, small business lending, and personal loans. These are our focus segments as well and will deepen our relationship with this base, offering our differentiated financial solutions. Over the past many decades, Citi India has attracted the best talent into its consumer businesses. We are excited to welcome this high caliber pool into the Access family. Our large and fast growing retail banking business will provide the right platform to them to play to their potential. The world-class Citi phone banking services are part of the transaction parameter. This will ensure continuity of service excellence for Citi customers and enhancement of our services for our customers. To sum up, the acquisition strengthens our market position, reduces gap in key segments with peers, and provides opportunity to accelerate retail business growth in a value accretive manner post-integration. Let me briefly now touch upon some of the key components of the integration. To begin with, as far as employees are concerned, we already have a rich network of Citi alumni across the bank who run our key business segments. Their success in Axis Bank reflects the values between the two organizations and how we share those values. Axis Bank is also a great place to work, certified organization that recognizes our talent management practices. Additionally, we plan to have these senior leaders at Axis Bank who are familiar with Citi's way of doing business to play a key role in assimilation of Citi's colleagues within the Axis Bank system. We are extending employment offers to approx 3,600 employees of the Citi's consumer businesses to be part of our story and benefit from our large and growing franchise. Given the expertise that Citi employees bring to the table, we view them as a significant addition to our existing team who will help us in driving synergy realization and our GPS objectives. Coming to customers of Citi, Citi customers would continue to avail of all the rewards, privileges, and offers they were previously entitled to during and after transition. We will ensure continuity of superior service levels to the customers. The transition period is to make sure that the customers have no disruption whatsoever to their service experience. Customers will benefit actually from Axis Bank's wider reach and comprehensive service offerings along with our One Axis capabilities. The Axis mobile app, the highest rated app in the sector, will offer flexibility to customers to view as well as transact across deposits, investment, payments, and protection solutions. Our focus on customers has been recognized in the past 2 years. We were the most recommended retail bank in India and the most helpful bank in India as per the Asian Banker Bank Quality Consumer Survey in 2021. Citi customers will find in us a very safe pair of hands. On products, the portfolio being acquired across the key segments offer compelling synergies. For example, Citi has major presence in top 8 cities in the affluent segment, which will strengthen our presence. We would further leverage our marketplace platform, Grab Deals, and extensive merchant partnerships to provide great offers to all the incoming customers from Citi. Our product offerings in the Burgundy space across all asset classes are wider and deeper in terms of product and asset manager choice. Further, our key differentiation in terms of speed to market and our innovative new product offerings will give Citi customers a much wider product suite. Finally, on technology, at Axis Bank, we have been investing significantly in the last couple of years in technology and digital and modernizing our core systems, building resilience across our operations, and delivering seamless digital customer journeys. The experience gained through this technology transformation will be helpful during the integration and migration processes too. For example, given the scale of this deal, what it brings to our credit card business, the learnings from the successful upgrade of our credit cards during COVID times, during credit cards and payment platform during COVID times will come in very handy. Our transformation journey currently underway across our various key business segments are staffed and managed independent of the integration team. A dedicated integration team comprising of senior members in Axis is already in place and will be directly supervised by me. Further, a robust mechanism of cooperation between Citi and Axis Bank has been established to ensure ongoing dialogue to resolve any concerns that may come our way. The deal structure and the timeline required for customary regulatory clearances give us about 9 months of head start on the process. To conclude, Axis Bank has grown organically all these years and has scaled well. but our aspirations are bigger. And this deal gives us that strategic thrust to close the gap between us and some of our peers. We hope with this particular acquisition will improve the quality of our franchise across many parameters meaningfully. We have a strong balance sheet, comfortable capital levels to execute this deal, and the right team, we believe, to make it a success. Thank you, and let us now open it up to questions. Yes, Ritu. Yeah.
This total cash consideration, about 12,000 crore, $1.6 billion, how much of it is upfront and how will it be funded by the bank? Are there some milestone linked payments? By when is that expected to be completed? First, if you could answer that, I had another question.
Okay, so the payment which is due will become payable only when we reach what we call the L1 day, LD1 day, which is when we get all the requisite approvals and the assets and liabilities of Citibank Consumer Business transfer to us. We have said that this could take anywhere between 9 to 12 months. That is the day that payment will be made. There are no milestone-based payments. The day these assets and liabilities transfer to us, that amount will be transferred, will be part of the consideration, will be transferred to Citibank. As you raised the question on how will we fund it, well, as I said, we have our balance sheet is strong, our capital levels are high, so we do intend to fund it through our balance sheet at this stage and at this point in time. We do know, given our growth aspirations, given the fact that we are acquiring this asset, given the fact that we will also get assets as part of this exercise, at some stage in our journey, we will have to raise capital. We will do it at the right time. That we will evaluate as we go along.
How much capital would have to be raised to fund the deal?
That we will answer at the right time. We are not going to.
Okay, the second question was, Citi has been losing customers since it announced that it would exit the retail operations in India. What is your strategy to retain those customers? Because that's the most lucrative part of the deal, this high value credit card portfolio. And what have you factored in terms of how many of these 2.5 million customers will stay over the longer period, say 3 years or so, which will make the deal beneficial for you?
So a couple of things there. One, Citibank started the process sometime in June of 2021. We have been, and they have been sharing data with us on where the customers are in terms of the deposits and the asset side of the balance sheet and what is happening on the credit card side. I think the retention levels remain at what we would say very satisfactory levels. Citibank has not been investing too much in the business, but they have ensured that they continue to upgrade their relationship with their customers over this period of time. And that is reflected in the numbers we have seen. Obviously, there is a risk that there could be customer attrition. We believe very strongly that Axis Bank has a suite of products and services which will actually offer even more to the customers than what they have. Citibank was limited by its branch presence in kind of the product suite it could offer. Axis Bank has much more to offer. Yes, obviously the customer has to be convinced that they need to come to Axis and they will be taken care of even more than before. We have enough head start. We have these 9 months, and a lot of work which we have to do during these 9 months, apart from looking at technology transition, is to see that we retain all the staff which we intend to get into Axis from Citi, and also ensure that the customer attrition, if any, is kept to the minimum. To ensure that that Citibank is rightly incentivized also to work with us to keep the customers with them. There are some price adjustment mechanisms which have been built into the deal, which will kick in if the customer attrition goes beyond certain numbers. Before you ask, we cannot share some of those price adjustment mechanisms, but as you would expect, some of those mechanisms are very much in place. I mean, I have others also to ask questions, so let me just allow. So as part of this deal, as I'm sure other people who also bid for the deal would have done the same, we have all done our internal surveys and use some external agencies to do a survey in terms of what is the commonality between our customers and Citibank customers. How would a Citibank customer react to a brand like Axis? How many are expected to come and actually very happily become part of the Axis family? How many might be sitting on the fence and how many might not want to be part of the family? When we came up with our so-called bid price, we had obviously taken all that into account and built some conservatism into it. So all that obviously was done at the time of the bidding process itself. And we are very confident that given as what we have continued to create since we bid for the deal and the kind of products that we have to offer, most of the customers will get convinced that actually they will get well taken care by the Axis family. Please don't. Please do appreciate that our intention is to keep all the Citibank employees with us. Hopefully they will see no change in the people who they were interacting with. Hopefully they will see no change in terms of the experience they were having on a day-to-day basis. And as I said in my opening remarks, frankly, some of our product and some of our services are better than what Citi is offering. For example, in the mobile app, I think they will see even better experience, wider product suite, deeper product suite. Hopefully we'll be able to convince them to save. But have we taken into account while bidding for this that there will be some customer attrition? Yes, we have. I'll ask my friends to keep adding if they feel that they want to add it.
Hi, sir. So this is Nupur from Reuters. So what I just wanted to understand was like just taking forward from the question earlier, the fact that it's not just about in the last 9 months since Citi announced that they'll be exiting. Over a period of the last decade, also we have seen that Citi has been losing market share consistently. It's come down from 13% to about 4% right now. So I just wanted to understand, despite that, what was the rationale of going for this deal instead of probably building up the portfolio on your own? And also another question, just wanted to understand if there are any integration challenges that you foresee going ahead.
Well, a deal like this comes in a lifetime. As I stated in my opening remarks, this is perhaps one of the best consumer banking franchises in the country. Yes, the size of it in comparison to others has, I wouldn't say shrunk, but it has not grown at the same pace as some of the others. But the kind of customers they have, the kind of usage which they have on their, for example, the credit cards, the wealth franchise which they have is perhaps unmatched in terms of what they bring to the table. And a franchise of that has a certain value. We believe that the value which we are paying for it is the right kind of value. And if we can ensure that we can manage the client attrition, the employee attrition, the technology integration well, and then cross-sell much better to these customers over a period of time, we will come out a winner. Also, please don't forget that because Citibank is part of a global bank, there are some global costs which they end up incurring because the global system is supporting them. That will not be required in case of Axis. So there are some cost saves also which will come through over a period of time, which obviously we have kept it in our pockets. We're not going to give it to them. But the point is that you get a great customer franchise. You get a franchise in which you can cross-sell. It allows you to bridge the gap between us and some of the peer set and catapults you to kind of top 3, top 2 in number of some of the product categories you want to invest in more. And a deal like this is not going to come again. So, we obviously thought that a certain price made a lot of sense. And that's exactly what we did. And Citibank decided that their consumer business, best rests with Axis Bank. So here we are. So technology integration will take time. We said it will take anywhere between, we have kept a transition agreement, which is 18 plus 6. So it is for 18 months, plus we have the option to extend it by another 6 months. We have to ensure that the customers are migrated from their technology platforms to our technology platforms or the technology platform we choose. It will take time. So it is 9 to 12 months plus another 18 months to get this deal fully integrated. We will use the first 9 months to obviously put all the technology plans in place. And then obviously we'll like to migrate the customers to our platform or whatever platform we choose as quickly as possible. But that's the time frame it will be required. It is a challenge. Any technology migration is a challenge. It's not going to be complete smooth sailing. So it is important that we set up the right integration team. And that's why our integration team is already in place, which will be looking at some of these parameters as we move forward.
Mr. Chaudhary, yeah, so hi, Manojit here from the Business Standard. You said about reducing the gap with some of your peers. You think the gap will be also reduced on the margin front? Will this deal give you substantial bump in terms of margin? The 4% above we are talking about.
So yes, I think.
I'll just see.
Sorry, yeah. So from a margin perspective, yes, it should be margin accretive. But you must also appreciate that the relative sizes of the business are different. And overall, we do believe that this transaction is NIM accretive for us, both on acquisition and on a sustainable basis.
Mr. Chaudhary, will it give you a big bump so that it cross 4%?
So I think the way I would request you to think about it is our last reported NIM was 3.53. The relative size of this business is smaller than where we are. So if you look at the business, it'll be about 6 to 10% of our overall business. Consequently, to take the entire business to 4% would mean a significant NIM trajectory. We do believe that the customer set and the business is NIM accretive. It is a journey that we are on. We will organically grow our NIMs, as we have previously stated, and this will aid that journey.
Ms. Chaudhary, hi, Vishwanath from BloombergQuint. I just wanted to ask you, so the way that you've structured this presentation, as well as the comments that you made, it seems that a lot of the focus is on the credit card customers. So then why is the rest of the business packaged with it? Because if you look at the way it's split, the credit card business occupies a big portion, and that's probably comparable to where you are as a bank as well. But the rest of the business are only a minor fraction of what you already have built out at Axis. So then what was the rationale behind buying the rest of the consumer finance business?
Good.
Yeah, thanks. I think I would put it in a slightly different, kind of texture to it. If you look at the AUM-wise growth in the wealth sector that we get under the Burgundy, that it's a clear 40-45% uptick that we are getting. So there's a substantial chunk of business which is coming from the Citi franchise, and very well developed Citi franchise. A. B, on the pure CASA front, if you look at it, we are getting a growth which is giving us, in terms of LCR accretive, granular retail deposit base, salary franchise, and an 81% CASA product mix. So I think the overall manner in which we are looking at the liability stroke wealth space, I think this is a good aid and a great foundation on which we can build, as Amitabh also talked about, in terms of ability to upsell, ability to penetrate, ability to create new acquisitions based on the Citi franchise. So it's a great legacy retail granular wealth stroke liability franchise.
I just want to add one more thing. One more thing which we get, I think, which is very well recognized by the customers of Citibank, is I think they're perhaps some of the best call center which is providing services to Citi, the Citi phone thing. They have incorporated global practices in that particular service center of theirs, and we are hoping to learn a lot from there in terms of global practices and take it to other parts of Axis. Since you're asking what else we get, I just want to ensure that you add this point.
Citi and you all have been around for very long time. You keep repeating that it's the best in class customers, best in terms of their affluence and everything of that nature. Why is it that the other banks have not been able to build the same or a similar sort of a...
No, I'm not saying other banks have not been able to build. I mean, there are other banks, very credible retail banking franchise. Our retail banking franchise is also pretty credible. We have built it over the last 12, 13 years. I'm just saying that given what they have, and given because they started on this journey much earlier than some of the others, customers have stuck with them. And you can get this quality of customers, which will take a long time for you to build. So the only thing I want to say is that a transaction of this nature comes in a lifetime. And we thought there is a price which makes sense, at which allows us to catapult ourselves to a completely different level. And that's precisely what we have done. Nothing more to it. The Citibank customers have not left them. I mean, I'm sure you meet enough of them who have just been banking with Citibank, in spite of the fact that Citibank has been talking about exiting 15 markets for quite some time, because they like what they see. We are hoping we can transition them to Axis, offer them a much wider product suite, and hopefully not only that, as customers of that kind find a good experience with Axis, they will talk to their friends who might be also willing to come to Axis and saying that we are doing different things and it's actually a great bank to bank with. Let's see how it pans out, but that's what the intention is.
So how does the bank's retail and corporate mix change post acquisition, and will the share of this unsecured portion within retail go up after the acquisition?
See, as Puneet was pointing out, the amount which we are talking about here, in terms of you get as an unsecured part of the business, is not very large. The total amount of loans, as per the last number, is about 27,000 crores. And out of that, the card portfolio is about 8,500 crores, plus the 18,000 which is left. The unsecured portion is mortgages, is unsecured, mainly there are two kinds. So the amount, when you compare it to our overall retail franchise, is not very large. It's not going to make a substantial difference to our unsecured portfolio. As Puneet said, it is NIM accretive, which is good, but is it going to make a big difference to our 4% journey? No, it's still good. We have to do a lot of other stuff to get there. Puneet, you want to add? Yes. Including cards. Yes.
I had a follow-up to the question on retaining customers. Is there any strategy to retain the relationship managers during this period of uncertainty, because they might not be able to?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, as I said, we are going to make an offer to all the 3,600 employees. We hope to retain most of them during this period. Citibank has come out with some package to retain their employees. We will obviously work with Citibank to see as to what we can do from our perspective to retain some of the key employees in the system beyond once we take it over. So yes, that will be part of the overall integration process.
And you spoke of extracting more value through cross-selling, but Citi also has got the highest rate of cross-sell, and they would have probably sold most products. So do you see any headroom to
So they had limitation in terms of the products they could sell. We believe we can extract much more value because we have many more products to offer. Citibank had restricted, for example, on the retail asset side only to some products. They were not doing some products at all. So now we will have a much wider suite to talk about. We have been building our digital offerings also in a very big way. We talked about Grab Deals as a franchise, which, for example, Citi does not have. So the number of things which you can offer to Citibank in comparison to these customers in comparison to what Citibank had will be much larger, much deeper. So we can definitely, we believe, cross-sell much more to these customers in the future.
Amitabh, hi. Saloni here.
Let me just, sorry, I promise I'll come to you. Just let him finish the question.
The cost of funds, how do you see that moving? Because Citi also has got a very fine rate on their deposits.
That's also where customers will benefit. The savings deposit rate is slightly lower, isn't it?
That's correct.
So by the Citibank customers will get a slightly higher savings deposit rate. But you want to talk about the NIMs?
Yeah, so overall, I think there isn't a material impact on cost of funds because, like Amitabh said earlier, about 81% of the franchise is Ka and Sa, and there's only 19% coming in the form of deposits. So we do believe that we'll be able to retain a lot of those customers just given the value proposition that we have. 81%. Yes, 81%. 81% is CASA.
Amitabh, I had two questions. One, on the larger holistic growth of the retail book. Do you think that, much has been spoken about how the credit card book will help, but, you have acquired the entire consumer assets. So how do you see this holistically improving growth on your retail book? Do you think that this is the fillip that was required to bridge the gap in terms of the retail book size of maybe say ICICI Bank or HDFC Bank? That is one. And second is on, you've spoken multiple times about how you want to get all the 3,600 employees of Citi's consumer side. So will you match their current remuneration? How is that going to be like?
Answering the second question first, yes, we will ensure that they will get offers which are as, if they should be either more favorable or will be the same in comparison to what they're getting today. We are not going to go to them and say, oh, by the way, your offers reduced. That's not the idea. We do want them fully on board. You talked about the fact that this will give us a fillip to our retail assets. Yes, they will give us some fillip to our retail assets, but we are not acquiring this to get that incremental growth. I think if you look at our growth in our retail assets in the last quarter, they were comparable to the industry or the industrial peers we get compared to. And I think the momentum continues in this particular quarter. So we're not worried about that. What we really get from this franchise, apart from the credit card franchise, we get the wealth franchise, we get a certain set of affluent customers. Yes, we get retail assets in the process, but those retail assets have really not been growing at a very significant clip. But we believe that once these customers migrate to Axis, we can become the primary provider to them for any asset needs they might have, which they might not be going to Citi today because they believe Citi is only doing some products and not all the products. That's what our hope is. Will it add to our overall growth? That only time will tell. But obviously, through part of this acquisition, we are acquiring a certain number of customers, and we will try very hard to ensure that all the products and services of Axis are taken to them over a period of time.
Hi, sir.
This is Ankur. Just a second. Let him add. Just a second.
Yeah, sorry, Saloni, just to add to what Amitabh said, also don't forget that we have this massive salary book, which is also coming to us, which Citi has built over a long period of years. And that is also in some manner going to answer your question on the penetration of assets and the opportunity that we are looking for upselling. And of course, again, underlying the fact that it's a fantastic set of employees and talent pool that Citibank has across all the businesses that we are looking at taking over. And therefore, that adds to the benefit that we are looking for. So that's the additional point to what Amitabh mentioned. Thanks.
Hi, sir. Bijoy from
Bijoy from Informist here. Just to take off from the same point that Saloni was asking, there is a difference in the kind of nomenclature that many of these positions will have for Citi employees. How do you manage that transition? Because that will be something that is critical for many of those people. There are lots of directors, managing directors, lots of those kind of positions that exist in that ecosystem that may or may not fit in with the nomenclatures in your system. So just to extend that beyond just the remuneration.
See, whenever two organizations merge, there are enough frameworks available to manage some of these things, which we will of course do. But by the way, you'll be surprised to know that we have that nomenclature in Axis Bank also. It's not that this nomenclature is unknown to us. In Burgundy Private side, we have similar nomenclature. But I don't want to get into the kind of some of those details. Let me just assure you that we have this head start of about 9 months. We will use this opportunity to work with the very same Citibank employees and come up with the right solution which makes sense for them and for obviously Axis Bank employees also. I mean, we can't just do it for them. We have to ensure that there is what emerges at the end of this so-called, once we take it over completely, is one organization, one access, which everyone has bought into. So we will do that, do it as part of the process. As I said, integration team is in place. One of the important elements of that would be ensuring that the integration of employees is complete, because that is one of the reasons we are making this acquisition. So we'll work very hard to ensure that employees in Citi side are comfortable with what we do and how we go about it.
And sir, just to also get one number point, you all are saying that you'll add almost 2.5 million Citibank cards. How much of that will have an overlap with Access? Because I'm assuming Access would have tried to reach out to these customers in your journey also. So how much of an overlap?
So they have not shared all the credit card customers they have, because obviously it will happen now because we had to sign the deal first. Our estimate is that the overlap is not necessarily very, very large. That's what I estimate at this point in time.
Thank you, sir.
Since you talked about the employees, let me also add, I'd also mentioned in my comments that there are a number of Citibank employees who are heading various businesses of ours. Our head of credit cards is from Citi. Our head of Bharat Banking is from Citi. Our head of CBG, which is our SME business, is from Citi. Our someone who reports to Ravi but heads our Burgundy Private, and the entire product stream is from Citi. So there are some very senior leaders in the top 20 people in the organization who have a Citibank background, and they know a lot of these people themselves personally. So it does help. It gives them that comfort. And they've been with us for a long period of time. Yeah.
Hi, sir.
Mr.
I'm
Chaudhary, this is
from
Ankur.
CNBC Awaz. I just wanted to ask you, since I was going through your presentation, the total purchase consideration is 12,325 crores, and the estimated equity requirement further to augment the deal is 3,500 crores, taking the total to close to 16,000 crores. Will this bulk of 3,500 crores which you will be investing would be into technology, or would that be for upskilling the investments required?
No, I think the way the deal is structured is there is a purchase consideration that we will pay, which is the 12,300 crore number that you're looking at. Because we acquire close to 27,000 crores of loan assets, they need to be backed by capital.
Okay.
That 3,500 is the notional capital that will support the loans. I don't need to pay that because I already have the capital on my balance sheet.
Okay.
So the net payable consideration at a maximum value would be the 12,325 that you see.
So the cash outgo will be $1.6 billion.
That's correct.
And another question I would like to ask is, because you've given an implied price to earnings multiple for the transaction, can you tell us what would be the latest price to book that you have paid for the Citi transaction, or what would be the book value for the Citi business that you have calculated?
So the way we look at this business is, in our assessment, if you break this business down, it is a fee earning franchise with a quality customer business. So there's credit cards, there is the wealth management business, there's the liability franchise, and then there's assets. So the way we prefer to look at this business is on a price earnings basis, because that's how similar businesses are valued today. And therefore the price earnings at 18.7.
But still, what would be the book value of the business that you are acquiring?
So the way to imply the book value is, we've put the numbers out. So there's 3,500 crores of capital, and there's the purchase consideration. So if you impute it, you will get the price to book.
Thank you.
Hello,
Yes,
sir. Ankur Mishra from ET Now. I wanted to ask, you mentioned the incremental market share after the acquisition. Is there any internal target after the integration is complete, which you would want to achieve after this whole deal is done?
Obviously, we'll have internal targets, but we're not going to share it here. That's all.
And just a
before
clarification, this as you mentioned, 12,325 crore is the total consideration, no other consideration apart from that. Right?
No, we did talk about the fact that there is Citibank will help us in the transition process for about 18 months post we take over those assets and liabilities. And obviously they have a group which supports technology, provides technology support across the globe for them. And obviously we have entered into agreement to pay certain charges based on the support they'll provide, but that's like an outsourcing contract. Apart from that, no, there is no concern.
Is there any exit clause?
All agreements of this kind have some kind of exit clauses on both the sides. So yeah, I mean, in event of some materials adverse event which is defined in these agreements, yeah, there will be some exit clauses. We are not doing this deal to exit. We're doing this deal to make it happen. Yeah.
Thank you.
The transition cost will be 1,500 crores. We estimate that close to, and I just want to be very clear, about 1,150 to 1,200 crores of that will be paid to Citi over for the transition period. Close to that. Yeah.
So this is Sharon.
So the purchase consideration impacts the capital adequacy by 180 basis points.
Yes. Our head of credit card business is sitting behind you smiling. No, we are not going to give up on the run rate on credit card. Wait for the March numbers. But yes, I think we are on a certain journey and we have certain momentum on our credit card business, our Axis Bank credit card business. You must be aware that we announced a partnership with Airtel. We launched those cards also in month of March, and I think it's doing quite well. By the way, that partnership from the date they decided to work with Axis and the date we launches has happened in 6 months, which is one of the fastest journeys we have seen in a partnership of this nature. And we believe that we have some more cards up our sleeve and the momentum will continue to build up as we move from here. March numbers will come soon, I'm sure.
So this is Shayan Ghosh from Mint. So considering the 3,600 employees of Citibank would come either at the existing salaries or more than that, what is the impact you see on your employee expenses? That's one. Secondly, your release says that you're going to be among the top 3 credit card company. So the February numbers show that ICICI would still be at 3 even if you add Citi and your customers. Is there some change that you're expecting in March?
So let me first talk about the employee costs. When we told you that the pro forma P multiple is 18 times odd, it was based on a certain P&L which has been created for calendar year 20. Obviously, all the employee costs of Citi as they stand today are part of that P&L. So, so should I clarify it further? So when we drew up the pro forma P&L for Citibank consumer business for calendar year 20, we said that what we are paying as a purchase consideration is at a certain P multiple. So it has certain profits. And that P&L has all the employee costs of Citibank in it. So our employee costs are not going to go up because this is at a certain multiple, and we are working on a certain multiple and a certain P&L. Hopefully, this will be additive over a period of time. Obviously, there is a period in between. There is integration going on. We have very transparent basis shared with you as to what the integration costs are expected to be. So that's point number 1. Does that clarify a point?
Yeah, and the second point about.
So your second question was on
credit cards.
Sorry?
On
credit cards. So credit cards, you can look at the way you look at the ranking on credit cards on various parameters. What we have said is we'll become the number 3 player in terms of the credit card outstanding or the amount of AUM you have on the credit card business. People quote also the data in terms of number of credit card customers they have. And we will, obviously the numbers are changing every day. He talked about what is the momentum in February, what is the momentum in March. So let's see where we end up. In terms of number of credit card customers, you might still be number 4 at the end of this. We'll never number 4, but we'll come very close to the number 3 and the number 2 player. The gap will come down quite substantially.
So this is Gopika from Mint.
Yes. Hi.
So the deal also includes acquisition of Citicorp's consumer business. So does the 16,000 crores include that, or is it over and above? And how much is the portfolio that you are acquiring?
So it's a very small business. So it's very much a part of the total consideration. So we have signed 2 agreements. We are buying businesses from these 2 entities. So when we talk about the purchase consideration, in that purchase consideration, there is a small consideration for that business. Please, you want to?
Yes. So the purchase price is an integrated purchase price, and roughly the asset-backed finance business, which sits in CIFIL, is in the range of about 4,000 crores.
Is there any write-off of the goodwill amount or something as part of it?
Yes, the transaction will have a goodwill, and our current intention is on the closing of the transaction, we will write off the goodwill upfront.
So I just wanted to check that, your CET1 ratio will come down to about 13% after the deal, as per the presentation. Is there any timeline on by when are you likely to raise capital, considering it's much lower than what it's been in recent quarters?
See, in a growing business, you will have to raise capital on an ongoing basis. If the business grows at a certain rate and your profitability is not enough to support that particular growth, you'll have to keep raising capital on a regular basis. So even if, let's say, we would not have done this transaction, in a couple of years, given our growth rates or the aspiration we have around our growth, we would have been required to raise capital. Now, obviously, with this transaction, as Puneet pointed out, our capital CET1 ratio will come down by about 180 basis points. We know we will have to raise capital. We will do it at the right time, but our balance sheet is strong enough that I don't have to raise it today. We will do it at the appropriate time. Leave it to us. We don't want to, get into any kind of commitment as to when we will do it, but we'll do it, of course.
Would the transition be seamless for the customers, the cardholders and account holders, or will they have to actively consent and to onboard?
So there are obviously some consent requirements which will be there for the customers of Citibank. In some cases, they might have given the consent. In some cases, we have to go and get that consent for transfer of the deposits, transfer of the liabilities, and transfer of the assets. We have, obviously, as part of these agreements, very clearly defined processes in place in terms of how that consent will be obtained, how that consent will be stored for future references. And obviously, we also want to ensure that we have, blessings of the regulator also in terms of how we're going about it. So all that is part of the agreement. That will all get finalized in this 9 months which we have.
But they won't be a new customer, like you won't have to do KYC again of all the.
But KYC, doing the re-KYC is a requirement of RBI anyway. So it's depending on the kind of customer, every 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you have to go and do a KYC. So that will keep happening. Nothing is going to change as far as that is concerned. But we will, in cases of customers, need consent of a particular kind. And as part of this agreement, there are clear consent processes that have been put in place where both the parties have agreed as to how that will happen.
The restarting, would that have to happen overnight, or would that
No, so we do have you want to talk about the trade?
So the consent process needs to happen before the date of closing, which is when we will actually assume the responsibility of the business and the balance sheet. So we have time from now till the 9 to 12 months that we mentioned to get the consent from the customers. And this is part of every transaction, because you just can't assume the responsibility of a customer who has a deposit base and a liability base. So we will have to do the consent process in the course of the next 9 months.
The cards can be valid even after?
Yeah. So which is exactly what the transition process is meant to do, because we do not want the customers to be overnight, asked to change their cards, asked to change their deposit account numbers, and so on and so forth. So what will happen during the transition period, which is the 18 to 24-month period we mentioned, is these customers will get transferred or migrated from the existing Citi platform to Axis platform gradually. But none of the features, none of the benefits that they have will change. So it will happen during that period of time, or in a gradual phase-wise manner.
You mentioned the right to use the Citi.
Sorry, he has a question.
Sorry.
No, is there any more inorganic growth opportunities on the horizon?
Let's finish this one, boss, please. No.
You're looking at MFI, no? Microfinance portfolio?
No. You people reported we're looking at the microfinance portfolio. We never said anything. No, this is a very big. It's one of, as far as we know, this is one of the largest, the largest financial, transaction in this space. It is the largest. We have to ensure that we do a good job of it. We absorb it, get the full benefit out of it. We don't want to get diverted away from doing other things that quickly. I mean, yes, it is the onus is on us as a management team and as our board that if the transactions come on, we do look at it. So I can't say no, nothing will ever happen. But we have something significant before us. We need to ensure we can absorb it, chew it, and do a good job of it. But we do have subsidiaries. Subsidiaries might see some transactions come their way. They have their own management team. Something comes along, we don't never say no. And you cannot say no. But yes, as far as Axis Bank is concerned, I think we have enough on our plate. Right?
Hi, sir. Amol.
Hi, good to see you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So you partly mentioned about the transformation, but generally, if you look at the city's customer base is absolutely different. And whenever there is an acquisition, merger and acquisition,
tell them that, huh? That it is different.
So yeah. So always the challenge is the cultural adoption between the two companies. Considering the number of customers and the employees that the city had earlier, you think that you will really work hard and spend also maybe, OPEX, CAPEX to maybe, attract the customers and employees to retain them as your family, because the people, those who had account and jobs at Citibank, maybe having different, goals while joining Citi, and Axis being an Indian bank. Do you see that gap, and will you really work hard to?
I mean, I don't want to trivialize the issue by saying that nothing will happen. No, it is something which you have to work very hard on. It is not going to be an easy journey. But we do believe as Axis Bank, we have the ingredients in place to be able to provide the right kind of job opportunity, the right kind of environment, the right kind of culture, the right kind of hunger to what they might be looking for when they join Citi. Citi is getting out of consumer markets around the world. So options in the Citi world are getting limited. Now, when they look around, you have a bank here who's showing hunger, who's showing aspiration, is investing deeply in technology in a very big way, is signing up new kinds of partnerships, is a growing franchise. And we have a lot of Citibank people who are, obviously functioning at very high levels within the bank successfully. So we do hope that we can convince them over a period of time, because we have some time, to come and join us and actually see this as a platform to meet their career aspirations even more so, because we are a large organization in India. We have 85,000 employees, plus we have the subsidiaries. They can work in different parts of Axis if that's what their aspiration is. And of course, they can continue to work in what they're working in anyway, because we do intend to absorb all of them within the Axis system. Will we lose some employees? I'm sure we will, in spite of how hard we might try. Our hope and intention is not to lose anyone, because we do hope to get everyone on board. Yes. The number of employees we are absorbing from Citi. That we don't know. Obviously, because they're keeping their wholesale businesses, their SME business. No, we are absorbing almost all the employees. There are some specific employees which are staying back because they understand the technology platform. So Citibank has kept some employees back, but that number is handful. Otherwise, we are taking over almost all the employees as part of that transaction parameter. Yes.
सर ये 7 ऑफिसेज 21 ब्रांचेस जो आपको मिलेगी ये भी जारी रखेंगे आप नाम
बदल यही है लोकेशन हर ब्रांच की जो भी लोकेशंस हैं 21 ब्रांचेस की बहुत ही प्राइम लोकेशंस हैं एंड आवर होप वुड बी दैट वी कैन कंटिन्यू टू कीप दोस ब्रांचेस देयर कस्टमर्स विल ऑब्जर्व दैट इज द फर्स्ट थिंग एंड दिस चेंज द मोमेंट यू चेंज द ब्रांच से अरे ये तो चेंज हो गया वी डोंट वांट टू वी डोंट इंटेंड टू दे आर बिग ब्रांचेस मे बी वी विल use the policy to see if there is some Axis branch close by which can be merged into this rather than the other way around. Why should we? That's the first reaction to what you're saying. We need to work on that plan. Because you have to go see the agreements, how long the agreements are, etc., etc. It is 21. That's the total number of branches. The wholesale banking business does not need branches.
So, sir, we have a question from Malini Gupta. The offer that Axis will make to 3,600 employees of Citi will be on the same terms and compensation, or will it be different?
Yeah, so the technical definition is that we will offer them no less favorable terms of employment, which means it will be either at par or better than what their current terms are in terms of employment. We've gone through fairly detailed understanding of what the terms are for these employees. We are very comfortable. That's factored in as part of our assumptions of this transaction.
Sure. So next question is from line of Hiral Thanewala from Money Control. Will my credit card on Citi Prestige card or other Citi credit cards be reduced by Axis Bank after acquisition? Also, whether the reward points of Citi credit cards be devalued in certain card segments?
The same principle applies as it applies to employees. In fact, even more, that the customers will have better terms and better offers, wider set of services, because we believe we can match those offers and we can retain those offers. So that's absolutely guaranteed for any customer who's coming over as part of this transaction.
And you should ensure you talk to him so that you don't lose him as a Citibank customer. Huh?
Definitely, sir.
Hmm.
Hiral, I hope that answers your question. If you have any other question, please put it on the chat box or you can raise your hands on chat. The next question we have from Alik, Informist. Alik, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, sir. This is follow-up on Hiral's questions.
Sorry.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Yeah. This is a follow-up on Hiral's question. We've noticed that, on the start level, the limits offered by Citibank on credit cards are usually much higher than what is offered by most players in India. Will there be a relook on those limits also now?
I think the limits on credit card are determined by the quality of the customer. So it's not always comparable. From our perspective, we've done the fairly detailed understanding and analysis of this. So we have no, second thoughts that these limits that exist today will continue, because the same limits for the same kind of customers do apply for Axis Bank customers as well.
Sir, also on the 10.6 combined number, is the third position that you're talking in terms of outstanding cards, or what is it? Because again, on the Feb end numbers from the RBI, it shows that with the addition of 2.5 cards from Citi, Axis will still remain on the fourth position. So this metric is on what basis?
So our view always has been that you see there is no real defined metric on what basis should you measure market share. We like to measure the market share in terms of the actual spends or the actual receivables that are pending, rather than just the number of cards, because that's really the actual value of what that particular franchise is bringing to the table. So if you were to look at it from that perspective, it would be number 3. You're absolutely right. If you just look at number of cards by the just sheer numbers, then we'll still be fourth, but a very close fourth to the third and the second place.
Sumit, you want to add? Sorry. I think it's working.
Yeah, in addition to that, I think we talked about a Feb number, and Amitabh also mentioned about the Q4 numbers. So you will see the gap, even in numbers, certainly reduce as we go forward.
Also, sir, if you can throw some light on the revolver transactor share of the Citi portfolio, and as well as what has been the experience in Axis Bank also.
So as a whole, during the COVID times, we've seen the revolver number come down, even in our book for the industry, as same is true for the Citi portfolio also. As now consumer confidence is coming back and spends are increasing, we would see the number of revolver do go up. But as of now, the number has been at a historic low.
Thank you, sir.
The next question we have is from line of Falaknas. Falaknas, please unmute yourself.
Okay. So what's the gross NPA ratio of the unsecured book of Citi's unsecured book? And when the two have merged, what will be the impact of what will be the gross NPA ratio of the combined book?
Thank you for the question. We're not specifically calling out asset quality performance for Citi, but you can rest assured that given the size of Axis plus Citi combined, there won't be a movement in the GNP ratios that the bank reports.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions? Please raise your hand, or you can type your question in the chat section as well.
So, sir, you're saying that no impact on the gross NPA ratio. No, not. It's going to be margin accretive. You're saying there won't be any impact on the margins, or I mean,
Yeah, we're saying all good things.
be...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. And capital also, you're saying it's you're not giving any time as to what will be the capital requirement, how much you're going to raise, and how you're going to raise this 12,000 crores.
That's a constant evaluation process. We will do it at the right time. We don't want to commit ourselves to doing it at a particular time. But yes, it's something which you evaluate all the time. That's the job we have, and we'll keep doing it. And at the right stage, when we're ready, we'll let you know. For sure. We done?
Thank you, Philip. I hope it answers your question. If there's anything else, you can also mail it to us. Thank you all for joining.
Yep. So I think just to conclude, the transaction is absolutely in line with the GPS strategy that we had put in place, which was to premiumize our franchise and to increase the granularity of our retail banking business. And so we believe it's a fantastic addition to the overall portfolio, and we look forward to welcoming both Citi employees as well as Citi customers into Axis Bank. Like we always say, we are always dil se open. So we look forward to having them into our franchise. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thanks. And apologies for the delay. Sorry. Yeah.
So actually, we have one more question,
Okay,
the last
sure.
question. From line of Suvashri Ghosh. Suvashri, please unmute yourself.
Hi, Amitabh, I just wanted to check, was there any negotiation during the deal for bringing down the cost? Because initially, you don't have to answer it in a very categorical manner, but was the deal lowered later, the value of the deal from initial negotiations?
I mean, we'd not like to answer it, but please understand that there is a certain due process that has been followed, and on a very transparent basis. Negotiation happens on a lot of parameters, and deal value is not the only thing which you negotiate on. So let's just leave it there. I think all of us are smiling and both of us are crying. So I think it's a good deal for both of us. It's okay.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.